in place, this perhaps will be improved. Some of you also want to offload in the roads, etc. These are all poor building control issues, or building control issues. Then of course, urbanization. So we also need to know that urbanization we also need to understand the effects of urbanization. We need to know that we are growing so fast, right? Are we adapting? Okay, and that's why now the aspects of physical planning, the aspects of order development control become so important to us. Because if we don't do that, then we shall be like our friends just next door. This is just the other one. This is Nakuru, just the other side. Ron says wants to stay this side. Yes, is a people person. George is not, he's a shy one, stays this other side. Yeah. Who would love to stay where Ron is staying? There's life, there's a bustle, right? But this is a contradiction, because this is just across the road. One very organized, one seemingly organized. I don't want even to say disorganized, because there is theory to this. Yeah? But why? The population. We are not managing the population very well. And in the process, there is sprawl. And for us, this affects order. It affects order, it contributes to insecurity, etc. Right? So I wonder, I will complain about values going down. But you see, these are also aspects. I am here, a man is here, I say, I have my property here, but what is the effect and impact of this seemingly organized or disorganized place? Is it affecting me? How is it going to affect me in the long run? Okay, so we also need order. I have a colleague of mine who said, informality is not a problem, it is how you approach it. Right? This may be informal, but how have we approached it? Because informality should also contribute to economic transformation. Perhaps maybe those are some of the areas, George, we need to think about it. Is informality a good thing or a bad thing? Because where we are going, perhaps it's something that we can live with. But if we are living with informality, right, or disorganization, how is it affecting us in the long run? Food for thought, okay? But here we need to adapt, because aspects of urban sprawl, and we think, in our opinion, that if we do not manage it, building control is going to become a problem. Yeah, and it's not going to help us achieve the order that we're talking about. What we are doing, and of course, many of us, this is how we even buy land. I was asking myself, but how do you want this guy to really now access their plot? It's good, a bit organized, but there are very many issues. This is how we buy land. Right? This is how we buy land. And then I have bought my piece here, and then tomorrow I have to fight with this guy. So we only thinking about selling, and we are not thinking ahead of us. And you people, you need to help us, because you are the people who are buying this, who are selling to us these pieces of land. And we want you now to espouse physical planning frameworks. The regulations that are there. Some of you are selling us plots that are less than 50, they are less than the standard size as required by physical planning regulations. Yes, but they are also contributing to the problems that we are facing. So we need to move, because imagine now, how am I going to, maybe they're going to access from this other side, but we need to do something about it, because this is how we are selling land, but it is also affecting us in the process, and mainly when it comes to services and the infrastructure generally. You give us a road which is 2.5 millimeters, but you see the guys in that estate all have balconies that are about 3.5 in width. How are they going to use those roads that you're giving us in these estates? Okay? So we're not only thinking about the building, we're also thinking about the land use as well. So when we're thinking about building control, land use also becomes a very important aspect, because like I said, if the land use is having a bit of problems, right? then building control is also going to have a bit of a problem. So we also need to understand the impact and be able to readjust to ensure that now we are aligned to the frameworks. Then of course, Ron talked about 30% of our duties get approved. What does that mean? Revenue loss. Wachiso in 2018 lost 3 billion just in revenue loss. We want roads, but also we are the same people fueling this, right? Because you want I'm going to address where is Ray, I think. Here you are the people who are building massively, but because you want your things very quickly, you first leave something small there. Leave something small there, and then in the process, when they come to the guy in Wachiso, they say, but wait a minute, please can you account to the area that you have approved? Recently in Wachiso during the monitoring exercise by the Minister of Monitoring, the building control officer there could not account for 200 million. Just 200 million from, they took a sample. They could not account. They said they approved 200 square meters. They told him, okay, where is the revenue collected? Okay, so one of the things that we're trying to address here is the difference in the procedures, different in the processes, requirements. It is because we have understood that uniformity breeds non-compliance. Lack of harmonization builds non-compliance. And in the process, we take advantage of it. Okay? So the Building Control Act is trying to address also aspects, it's trying to streamline procedures and processes to ensure that we all understand them and then apply them. And then the process, we are all contributing to vision, because we do not want, we need to move from a peasant society to, you can imagine our vision is to move from peasantry to a modern society. Okay? And so we need to ensure that we streamline processes. And one of the things that the Building Control Act is now putting in place a uniform position. Uniform procedures, requirements, the same. I'm in Kabon, it is the same requirement. I am in Mugahinga on the other side, same requirement. What? I'm in a town council, same requirement. But because of the difference in the requirements, we have had a lot of non-compliance. And that's why building control becomes very important to us. In a nutshell, we are trying to ensure we improve on our compliance. We are trying to ensure we improve accessibility, try to improve order, and then of course safety and standards. Because we also know that in the process we ease business, and that's why now you guys, this becomes a good song. That we have frameworks that now are targeting the private sector to ease business, okay, and improve systems and customer service across board. What we are now we are trying to put in place. We are trying to act, not even put in place. We are trying to ensure that we do things differently. Yes, we may be working through the decentralization framework, etc., but we are going to regulate the sector differently. Because ours is to ensure we ease the way we do business. There is no way a client would want to come to a local authority and wait for ages for their plans to be approved. No. That is untenable. That is unacceptable. Otherwise, we shall still continue playing. We shall still living back. So we need to espouse, and we need to take on these frameworks. We need to understand these frameworks, and you, particularly in the private sector, we need you to help us with this, because it affects you directly. Your understanding of these frameworks will ensure that you do business very well. Okay? And now, we are not putting these frameworks to stall your business. No. Actually, on the contrary, we are trying to improve business. Okay? We are trying to improve business. Now, the Building Control Framework, as was, of course, is enshrined in the Building Control Act. Okay? And of course, the act is to consolidate, harmonize, and amend any laws that are to do with the building laws or related to erection of buildings, etc. etc. But this act is also providing for building standards. Okay? It is also providing for an institutional framework. How we are going to implement building control in Uganda. Okay? How are we going to ensure? The framework is prescribing to us how we are going to improve our compliance rates in our respective local authorities. Okay? Because overall we are to mitigate environmental challenge. Built environment challenges. This is to ensure strict compliance, and then of course, like I said, we need to achieve Vision 2040. Okay. Now, of course, this was developed with Ministry of Works and Transport, and the Building Control Act plus other enabling statutes. We are there to provide and to prescribe how we are going to control all operations in the country. As you are aware, in 2010, this country was declared a planning area. That means all other related laws, must be applied. I have people saying, oh, you see, I'm in the village, and I'm therefore putting up a house. Will these laws apply? Yes, they apply. In 2010, you should not have accepted to have this whole country planning area, and instead remain in the Town and Country Planning Act. So because there is that shift in legislation, or change in the legislation, we now have to ensure that everything on our land, first, land use must be, we must know the land use. And then we must also control how you build on your land. It is important. Otherwise, we shall be contributing to the challenges that I faced, that I talked about. And then, of course, before the act, of course, this is what we had. We had the Public Health Act, and of course, there were building rules. We had the Town and Country Planning Act, Factories Act, Occupational Health and Safety Act, which is now the OSH Act. Then the Physical Planning Act as well. All these were talking about buildings in a way. But you see, when you have very many laws talking about the same subject, there is always going to be conflict. And now, that's why the Building Control Act was promulgated, to ensure that all these laws that are talking about buildings are now harmonized and consolidated and stated in the preamble of the Building Control Act. So, you may be told out there, oh, you see, we are following the building rules. No, we are not following the building rules anymore. We are following the Building Control Act. There is an example we had. A church is supposed to be approved. We say, is it a church's buildings? They are buildings. And there is a lot talking about buildings. So, I asked my colleague, what is the answer therefore? They must be regulated. Colleagues, even the government is not exempted. Let them not tell you. Lie to you. Government buildings are also not exempted. We had a cases here, they told us, oh, you see, we are putting up a market. We need to be exempted from paying revenue. We had to cite the law. There is nowhere in the new law that talks about government buildings being exempted from paying building control fees. No. Let it be known that all, be it public, private, are all regulated and must be regulated and are regulated under the Building Control Act. Now, how is building control implemented in Uganda? Now, first to say that building control is a devolved function. I think all of us are aware of decentralization policy, that there are some services that are at the center. There are some services that are a preserve of the local authorities. Similarly, building control is a devolved function to the local authorities. Okay? And that's why those of us who have read the law, that's why you get your approvals at the local authority. You don't get it at the center. That is the law. Until the law is amended, you get your approvals and plans, permits from. There is a growth of the people with disabilities the number is also growing. What does that mean? That we all have rights, same rights under the sun, like anybody else who is unable to perhaps access space. But according to the urban agenda, people must access space. They must enjoy their space. And therefore the buildings that you're trying to bequeath us must also provide equity. Right? We need to also be, to have those colleagues, the people who are not able in whatever form, be able to access buildings. But unfortunately, only about 5% of the buildings are actually compliant. Only 5%. I just even take, during your break, during your break, just go around. Just go around. Even this one, I don't want to finish because George and colleagues will be thrown out, and yet they are very good customers. Yeah. Accessibility. So only 5% are accessible, right? You go to Ntinda, right? All the buildings that we have just surveyed recently in Ntinda, inaccessible. One of the buildings, yes, they had parking. Now, for instance, let me just talk about parking space. Yeah, guys has parking space, is providing, but the building takes about 100 people. You provide parking space for 5 cars, and I'm asking myself, okay, 5. Okay, that's good. There's a bit of effort, but guess what? The next year, because you want revenue, you turn all of them into shops. So now, where is all that traffic going? It's going to end up on the road. Right? So we are not only, what we're trying to advocate for is not just think about the building structure. You've given us a building in Kampala and Uganda. No, we need to think about this holistically. That the building you're bequeathing us, yes, to the standard, is accessible, and it will contribute to the order, right, and the actual development of the country. So we need to also think about it, and as private sector, you really have a lot to play as well, because we now need to get you to a point whereby these documents that we are using to ensure standards are not just in some engineer's room. Even you guys who are constructing now, I had somebody who was from Morocco. Do we have these documents at your office? Because an engineer will tell you, please give me this one. But then, according to the code, it's untenable. And you see people using max spans for load bearing, and I'm asking myself, who designed these buildings? I mean, who is giving advice? Max span for load bearing walls. Yeah? But there are engineers out there, right? So we need now to get, it shouldn't be just that, even you people who are constructing for us, we need you to understand.
My name is Hudson Mutalia. I'm Standards Officer with the National Building Review Board. We're here to talk about at a training organized by GGI, where they're training the private sector, promoting green building, and how it's important for the private sector to embrace technologies that will improve the environment, and also to ensure that we protect and manage our environment better, and speak about the aspects of green building in the National Code. The Building Control Act, as promulgated as part of Section 46, requires for the Minister to develop a National Building Code, and the National Building Review Board notes that that code is in place, and it has numerous standards. It has building standards, it has electrical installation standards, it has mechanical standards that talk about aspects of fire, plumbing, it has the accessibility standards that provide for ensuring that buildings are accessible to everybody, including people with disabilities.
Mabonga Sylvia. I am the project manager for Armstrong Consulting Engineers. Yes, Armstrong Consulting Engineers is an engineering consultancy firm. We are project managers, and we also do civil structure. We are based in Burundi, and we have worked on a number of buildings around Kampala and across the country, then also around East Africa.
As Armstrong Consulting, what aspects of greening are you trying to put into the buildings, supervising and designing, and do you think this works? How should we take it up?
Okay. Question of whether it works. Yes, it is possible, it can work. Why? Because we are still in Africa. We are in Africa, and we don't have so many problems. And so we have the nature around us, the materials. Most materials we use are actually, they are available and they are renewable. So it is very possible. And another question of how we have been incorporating this into our designs. The designs we've worked upon, we are into natural lighting of